Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I'd like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of January 18th, 2023, and welcome everyone to the City Council chambers. The City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Tonight is a hybrid meeting. Community members are welcome to join us either in person or remote via Zoom or telephone. For those who wish to participate in the future at a meeting on Zoom, you'll find the instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Please note, we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office, and we also do not accept comments that are focused purely on personal matters and unrelated to city business. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Tui.
Here.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
Councilmember Fossey. Here. Councilmember Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely. Here. Councilmember Ryan. Here. President Stonecipher.
Here. And Councilmember Zarlingo, will you please lead us in the flag salute? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Councilmember Ryan, would you please read the land acknowledgement this evening?
Absolutely. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Snohomish people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring forth a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of December 14th and January 11th, 14th of 2022 and January 11th of 2023?
Vogely moves the approval of those two meeting minutes.
Councilmember Ryan seconds.
Thank you. A motion and a second for approval. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Tui.
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey.
Abstain.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Franklin.
Good evening, President Stonecipher and Council. I have a few updates this evening. First, I want to share that we lost a community leader. One of our residents, Mary Rollins, in the audience let us know last week that Shane Nagel, who was a leader in human services in Snohomish County, passed away recently. She was led the ARC of Snohomish County for a couple of decades, really a strong leader in disability and family caregiving, and we are going to miss her and her leadership and dedicated community service. So just wanted to let folks know. And second, I'd like to invite Chief Templeman forward to swear in a new officer.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council members. Dan Templeman with the Police Department. It's my pleasure tonight to be able to introduce to you our newest graduate from the Criminal Justice Training Center, and that is Charles Paulette. Charles was born in Boise, Idaho, and in 2003, his family moved to Kirkland, Washington. Charles graduated from Lake Washington High School, where he played lacrosse for 4 years. Charles went on to attend Lake Washington Tech, where he studied welding technology and graduated in 2021. Prior to joining the Everett Police Department, Charles worked as an assistant manager at a local sports store for 3 years. He decided to pursue a career in law enforcement so he could protect his community and keep people safe. Charles was drawn to the Everett Police Department because of our high standards for officers and because it meant he could work alongside his friend and mentor, Officer Alex Fay. Charles graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy on December 21st and is preparing to enter his field training phase. He looks forward to becoming ingrained with his peers and upholding our department's core values as he works to make a difference in our community. During his free time, Charles trains in mixed martial arts and participates in strength training. He also enjoys spending time with his family and his siblings, and his family is here tonight and had an opportunity to meet with them, and they're very, very supportive of his choice here with Everett and his pursuit of law enforcement as his career. So with that, I present to you Charles Paulette for swearing in. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve Charles as our latest officer?
So moved.
And Councilmember Tui seconds the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept Charles Paulette as our new member of the Everett Police Department. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Clerk will administer the oath.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Charles Paulette,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am either a citizen of the United States,
that I am, my apologies one more time,
that I am either a citizen of the United States
that I am either a citizen of the United States
or a lawful permanent resident,
or a lawful permanent resident,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Everett,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Everett,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer of the city of Everett
and perform the duties of police officer of the city of Everett
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Well, welcome to our newest officer, and thanks to the family for being here to support him. And lastly, I would like to I'm asking for your concurrence on 3 appointments. First, Ryan Crowther to position 1 for the Public Facilities District Board. And then second, Scott Murphy to position 2, and Dan Leach to position 3 for the Salary Commission. I would asking for your concurrence.
And I'll just note that position 2 of the Salary Review Commission is the council chosen appointee. I emailed council members at the beginning of the month, and so we are bringing forward Scott Murphy for that position. And
The other one is a mayor appointment.
And the other is a mayor appointment. And just as a reminder, the commission will appoint the final member from those applicants that submitted for that position. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second the motion.
Any questions or comments before we take the roll? Councilmember Ryan?
I'd just like to respectfully request from administration that the applications are forwarded to council a little bit earlier for review, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand that they came a little late this afternoon, and I know that last week I had like 14 appointments, and those came, I think, in the morning. We are going to do our very best to try to get those at least earlier in the week. This time of year is challenging because we get so many commission appointments, but I recognize how hard that is for you to have time to review the application, so we'll do a better job.
Councilmember Vogely?
And I just wanted to put a shout out to whoever updated the webpage for the Salary Commission. It's very thorough, and so nice job. It's been noticed. That's all.
Any other questions or comments? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Mayor, any other comments?
No, that's it this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Tui? Oh, I'm sorry. No, we move on to public comment. Angie, do we have any signed up to speak this meeting? I'm running on autopilot here.
Good evening, President Stonecipher. We have 2 people in chambers, and I do have a written comment that we received from Magale Quinones, and that was submitted for the record and shared with council, legal, administration, and city clerk. So Paula, could you please come to the podium? Please state your full name, city, residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Good evening, council members and mayor. Good to see everybody here. Again, as usual, my topic of comments continues to be on the 2022 Redistricting Commission, but specifically regarding the premature approval of the Redistricting Commission's plan by this council. The three major matters to be resolved or remedied that I see are, number one, the city charter violations of Section 2(1)(c), and I have filed a complaint to the attention of the mayor, so that's in progress right now. Number two, the Redistricting Commission procedural improvements spanning all matters of the flawed process, from a lack of adequate uniform information for the incoming commissioners to a transparent and engaging public process. I am volunteering to help. I'm volunteering to participate with staff and the community stakeholders to review and improve the structure of future redistricting commission processes so the template in 2032 will allow a smooth redistricting process. And last, number three, the City Council approval of the commission's plan. It was approved only after the council was misled that the process was correctly followed. It's council's approval that I'm asking you to address. I'm asking you again to rescind your approval of the Redistricting Commission's plan and remand it back to the Redistricting Commission to remedy the major process errors and comply with the city charter. When I suggested that council should request a second opinion advising you on how you may correct the fatal flaws, legal staff stated they already did so. However, response to my public records request shows that it's not a transparent guide for residents or the council. Since it's completely redacted, my printer gave up after one page. Staff provided a non-factual, inaccurate summation on the work of the Redistricting Commission, so staff should not be relied on to guide the council to remedy the matter. As a concerned citizen, I'm asking council to seek an independent legal opinion to advise you on how to rescind the approval and remand the plan to the Redistricting Commission so they may complete the required process. Then and only then should this council consider its approval on the adequacy of the processes and cast your vote on the final redistricting plan as outlined in our city charter. I remain committed to working together with this city council and our city to get this right. I'm asking you to adopt a resolution rescinding approval of the redistricting plan that was granted on October 19th, 2022, and remand the plan back to the Redistricting Commission to complete their mandated meetings and processes. Perhaps it's something that you could discuss about rescinding and remanding at your upcoming retreat next week. I sincerely do thank you for your continued time and attention on these matters, because we are going to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Mary, if you could come to the podium. And please state your full name, city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Mary Rollins, City of Everett, District 2. So it's kind of tag team tonight. I generally try not to take up your time, but thanks for being here. I'm glad it's a full council tonight. This is really important. City councils, when I did just a cursory search on websites, have rescind approvals frequently, and I don't think they even need independent legal counsel to do that. So one city council rescinded an approved $11 million proposal stating, "We have more guidance, and it's really important that the council has this opportunity to review it." Another city council members rescinded approval to permanently close a street. Another city council rescinded approval for a new police department substation in light of an in-custody death. And another city council rescinded its previous approval of a nominee for a major board so council could solicit more citizen interest. So in other words, you have power to rescind this now, to do this right, because let's see, 2032 is the next time we do this. That's a long time. I might be dead, but I'm here to ask you now, while I'm alive, get this right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And President Stonecipher, that concludes our public comments.
Thank you. And do we have an administrative update this evening.
President Stonecipher, are we able to respond to public comment?
During your comments at the end of the meeting, you can, yes.
No update this evening, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Hall, do we have anything from the city attorney's office?
Yes, we are requesting a 5-minute executive session to discuss a litigation matter pursuant to RCW 423110-1I with council action to follow. Also, we did receive the written complaint from Ms. Townsend yesterday. We will be reviewing that, and we'll get back to you on that, not next week because that's the council retreat, but by one of the 2 following meetings, either the 1st or the 8th. And maybe it's useful for me to just briefly respond to a couple points that were raised by the 2 speakers. On the matter of the response to the public records request being redacted and therefore not transparent, I think everybody on this council understands the concept of attorney-client privilege. Attorney-client confidentiality is the cornerstone of the legal profession. It allows attorneys and their clients to discuss matters openly and honestly so the client can get the best possible legal advice, and that is why documents that are attorney-client privileged are exempt from the Public Records Act. And that is why the documents received by Ms. Townsend were appropriately redacted. The matters that Ms. Rollins, I believe, discussed that have been rescinded are very, very different. They were ordinary matters. They were not matters like the approval of the map, which is governed by charter, in which you were required to adopt unmodified by the commission to take politics out of it. We'll respond more fully to the written objections within a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion for the 10 consent items?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval.
Councilmember Tui seconds that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
President Stonecipher?
Yes. Moving on to the proposed action item. This is a first reading, so I will read it into the record. Item 11 is Council Bill 2301-01, first reading. Adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 3779-20 entitled Everett Municipal Building Public Works Tenant Improvement Project, Fund 336, Program 015, to accumulate all design costs for the project. The third and final reading will be on February 8th. Do we have any questions on this item? Councilmember Vogely.
Yes. And what number is this? 11?
Item 11.
Okay. It's just, I am curious if Mr. Leonard, or probably because he's here, there's just such a large increase in this amendment, and I'm wondering if you can spell it out for us. I can be more specific, but I would just like a narrative, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Bob Leonard, Parks and Facilities Director. The original funding ordinances was just for the schematic design, a very rough outline of what we were planning on doing. This new amendment will cover the full design and construction documents and permitting, so we'll be able to go right to construction, cover all the costs up to that point for the entire project.
And to add on to that, is it design, bid, build? Can you please tell us again what the type of?
Sure, we're actually using a alternative procurement method for this project. It's actually a GCCM, General Contractor, Contract Manager. It's very similar to design build, but a little bit different. So in this case, we will, instead of doing a design and then taking that design, going out to bid and hiring a contractor, we're actually having the contractor on early. He's going to work with our architect as a team to come up with the design. That will eliminate a lot of risk in this project. We'll know what the full costs of the project are before they actually start. And so therefore, we can also make adjustments with the contractor and with the architect to try to save on cost as well. So that's really the highlights of that alternative method.
Thank you, I appreciate that, that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Zerlingo.
Mr. Leonard, I think this was a process that Director Sass had said had been also used in some of the water infrastructure as well to try to handle these complex projects with some unknowns.
Yeah, this isn't the first time the city's used it. It is a little bit newer for the facilities department to do this type of project, but it's definitely not new to the city. A lot more of the design build, which is also another alternative procurement method, but this is not an unfamiliar aspect to the city.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will move on to our briefing agenda. We have Kimbra Landry here to brief us on the 2023 Human Needs Grants. And the action to adopt the resolution will come to council at the February 1st meeting. And I'll just read this. It's item 12, adopt the resolution approving the 2023 Human Needs Grants allocations and authorizing the mayor or her designee to execute contracts with grant recipients. Good evening, Kimbra.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I dive in, I just have to give a quick moment to say thank you for acknowledging the ARC earlier. Our office has worked with the ARC and they are one of the agencies listed on the resolution to be seeing for funding. So thank you for passing that along. That's good for us to know that. So thank you for that. Okay. So again, my name is Kimbra Landry. I'm the Community Development Manager, and I am here for your Wednesday, January 18th meeting to go over the 2023 Human Needs Funding Resolution. So since 1989, the city allocates $4 per capita for the city's general fund pool to award agencies providing basic human services to Everett's low, moderate income persons. This year, that's about $453,200. In 2023, an additional $100,000 was allocated from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds. This provided a total of $553,200 that was available for the 2023 program year. And I also want to take a quick moment to just again thank the mayor and council for helping to accommodate this increase as we have consistently get more demand for funding than what's available. All funds are consistent with the city's fiscal year, must be expended between January 1st and December 31st. Occasionally, a small amount of funds remain, and to continue to leverage funds for human service support. Unutilized funding from the previous year will be used for contingency projects and or reallocated for future competitive application cycles. So for 2023, annual community priorities were first identified by the Citizen Advisory Committee through a public hearing. And then those recommendations of annual priorities are brought forth to City Council for review and action and adopted by Council at this point through the resolution. For 2023, the priorities were housing, homelessness, and activities that support behavioral health and substance abuse prevention and support. Agencies that do not meet these priorities may still apply against the funding pool. However, activities that do meet the priorities are considered for funding first. All human needs activities, again, must support vulnerable and low moderate income city residents with basic services. For 2023, this is a snapshot of our award allocation. And again, as mentioned previously, the increased pool of funding this year helped our ability to just further support community partners. We received $1,045,228 in funding requests and are proposing to award 22 agencies with the funds available this year. Those agencies will provide services that focus on the established priorities of homeless, housing, behavioral health, and substance abuse, as well as agencies that are providing human services outside of these priorities. And so here on the screen, we see that about a third almost of our funding is kind of split between behavioral health and substance abuse, activities supporting homelessness and housing, and then again, another third providing just the general human need basic services. So next week, staff will request action from City Council on the funding resolution for the 2023 program year. And immediately following this will allow for staff to execute agreements in early February. I also want to just provide a quick update on the grant management software Amplifund that we have been able to use. This has now been used to launch 2 Human Needs Fund opportunities and will begin to track the federal and state annual awards that we fund as well. Information about Amplifund, in case anyone's interested, and open application cycles are all posted online at the Community Development Grant Management page on everettwa.gov. Real quick, overall, Amplifund has provided a more efficient process for agency application and staff award management, while also moving towards a more transparent process for our tracking of accomplishments and expenditure reporting. The system will eventually sync with Everett's open data portal so that in addition to the annual updates on the funding uses, anyone can see a point in time count of persons served and funds spent. So in closing, in 2022, agencies spent $414,128 and served 7,685 Everett residents. And we look forward to continuing to track these numbers in the future and for the 2023 program year.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Councilmember Ryan.
Hi, Kimber. Good to see you in person. Thank you so much for your work on this. I had a chance to look through the list of awardees and a lot of familiar faces on there, and I'm just so glad that we can help the city in this way. So I was curious if with the $1 million+ of money that folks had applied for and then what's been awarded, have the organizations, are they receiving their full requested amount? Did some organizations just not get funded at all, and then the ones that did get funding are being funded at their full amount, or is it, did folks get reduced funding awards so that we could increase the number of people receiving? I hope that's making sense.
It absolutely does, yes. So this is something that we come into, just every year, because again, you know, this past year we got over $1 million in requests, but every single year we get more money than what's available. Mm-hmm. So again, programs or activities that meet funding priorities are first considered for their request, and agencies that are able to be reviewed appropriately so they meet eligibility standards, they go through and have completeness of everything, they do look to get full award of funding. They meet a priority, they're able to, you know, address the eligible demographic that we want them to work with. So there are agencies that receive full award for their high ask. There are some agencies that, if they do not meet a priority, are then kind of put lower in consideration for funding. And then furthermore, if they don't meet a priority, and we've had such a competitive funding round, which typically we usually do, there are a couple of agencies that just don't kind of rise up enough to be able to actually get fully funded for awards. We do take time to go through and actually have discussion on all award priorities and allocations and projects. The committee takes a good, thoughtful discussion for that. And sometimes that can kind of work to make adjustments for some awards, but for the most part, those that meet priorities first are given kind of first consideration for full award allocation. Those that don't will end up getting sorted through as we work through what's remaining for funds available. So
Great, thank you.
yeah.
And I'll just share for the record too, I'd be happy to raise that per capita amount if there's, just gonna float that idea balloon out there. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other, Vice President Tui.
Yeah, thank you, Kimbra. Really enjoyed that. I have a question about the software. So it
Okay.
sounded like there's a portal. Are the applicants able to just go directly to fill out their forms there, their reimbursements and all that, and their record keeping?
Yeah, it's actually kind of neat, so I won't try and get too technical on this one, but I'm actually pretty proud of this. This is something where agencies can come in and apply not only for Everett grants, but if there are other ones, but they can have a full electronic submission of application process all the way through grant management and post-award. It's also allowed for some internal improvements with finance so that we have standard forms now that are being worked through the system and everything. So it really kind of, yeah, it kind of really has provided not just internal efficiency improvements, but overall I think that the agencies are really seeing some nice improvements from it as well. And then of course working with some of our legal team, we've been able to do electronic signatures now for agreements, which has been a huge time saver for a lot of people. And so everything's now tracked in that
That's
online
great.
grant management
That's
software.
great.
So,
I'm sure that all of the awardees appreciate that.
yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, in the past history, has there been any other sources of revenue for this fund?
No, everything comes through the city's general pool.
I think there was a time about 10 years ago that we gave half this amount per capita, and then we raised
Yeah.
it because of, the extreme needs, so it has been raised before.
We can do it again.
Yeah. As chair of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, I'd love to know more about this software, because I'm sure that our applicants would also benefit from an electronic interface to do their business, so we can look into that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this will come back to us on February 1st, and we will see you then, Kimbra. Thank you. And we'll move on to council comments and liaison reports. Vice President Dewey.
Yeah, I just want to announce that at the Shack Art Center, we're opening an exhibit tomorrow for Ukraine, Art of Freedom. And it's been a wonderful experience working with all of our Ukrainian neighbors. And we have quite a contingency. They're very excited about this. We've even had some artwork come from Ukraine. They're in contact all the time. I think each and every one of them has a relative still there. And it's also a little bit of a fundraiser through the Ukrainian Association of Washington State. Some of their artwork that we're selling, and there's things, and a percentage of what we get will go back to purchasing prenatal incubators for their hospitals, which with the war and everything, there's been a high level of premature babies being born, so. Anyway, come by. The opening tomorrow night, there's going to be lots of activity. And then on February 4th, they're having more performances. So hope to see you. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Schwab.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge Public Works and the Parks Department for the ongoing project on the Edgewater area. So thank you for that. I know that's, I know we just approved some dollars earlier. And also, I know the Hannahbrook Park has been a long standing project for both the citizens and parks, so thank you for that. I'm really encouraged about the improvements. And then I just had a quick question from our attorney. If you could just explain just a little bit more about the whole process about the complaint that was filed, or if that's what you call it, for our districting process. Thank you.
Sure. There is not actually a set process. This isn't a situation like we have in the land use concept where somebody can file a formal appeal of a decision and it goes through a process with, due process, et cetera, and the decision coming out of that process is appealable to a higher body. This is, I don't want to say just, but this is like any complaint that the city receives where it gets routed to the proper department and the proper people with knowledge to respond to it. But it is not a process set out in the municipal code.
Thank you. Councilmember Fosse.
I would just like to suggest that with regards to our agenda, originally when I had suggested that we have council comments after the public comment was so that gave us an opportunity to provide response to the public comments so they felt that we were being responsive or choosing not to reply. So even if we weren't maybe going into our liaison reports or other things, I still think that that would be a good opportunity to allow space for council to respond to public comment. So if that could be something for consideration for future agendas, I would appreciate it. With regards to the public comment that we did receive, the suggestion of potentially maybe discussing it or having conversations about it at our retreat, if that is an option, I would like to encourage that maybe for the agenda.
Thank you. I will see if we have a lot on the agenda, so we will see if that can happen, but maybe we can make that happen at a council meeting, if not on the retreat agenda.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, just quick note with respect to parks. I noticed they're starting the improvements on the Thornton Sullivan Park Playground, one of the oldest in the system, one of the most used, and a bit overdue for updates. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity, along with the trail that's being worked on and completed this year around the lake. I think hopefully by this summer, those things will all be out there for use, and we've already seen a lot more traffic around there, people out and about and using a public resource. I think that's great value, the thing we really have to worry about and optimize in these times of tight budgets. So thanks to the administration, thanks for spearheading that. Mayor Franklin, the trail especially, I think that's going to bring a lot of people out there and get people out. I'm still looking forward to the Everett Rowing Association working on that rowing, the rowing introductory class on Silver Lake. It hasn't started yet, but I'm hopeful that'll start soon.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you. I also have questions about redistricting, and considering this is a brand-new process and we haven't done this before. And to your comments about going, you have a complaint, it's routed to the right people that know what they're talking about, and then goes to a different set of eyes. All of the things that you just said. Sorry, I want to call you council member, and that is not what you are. City Attorney Hall.
Thankfully, I'm not a council member.
It can be pretty tough. I guess my point is that this is all a brand-new process, and considering that, I just think that it would behoove us to, iron it out this time around, because nobody really knows what they're doing.
And I will say, when I said it's treated like any other complaint, obviously, this issue has gotten a lot more attention by council members and the public than the average complaint does. So I don't want to imply that we're going to spend a few hours on it like we would spend serious time in any other complaint. This is getting a lot more attention because it's gotten a lot more attention from you and from the public. So in that sense, it's not like any other complaint, but there is not a separate process established for it.
Okay, all right. Yes, and as time goes by, I hope that we'll just figure it out and it won't be forgotten, because I'm not forgetting. Thank you. I think that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Thank you. It is freezing in here,
It
so
is
I
cold.
apologize if I'm a little rigid. I had a wonderful weekend attending some of the Martin Luther King Jr. rallies and marches and days of service, and it was just really great to get out in the community and just see the great work that everybody does when they come together. And thank you to Mayor Franklin for her comments at the march and rally on Friday. The Snohomish County Black Heritage Committee did an amazing job putting on the rally and the march to the Carl Gibson Center, and it was just a really great event. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. I attended the library board meeting yesterday and had a great time with the folks that are there. We have a new board member, so it's great to meet her. I did want to share that as part of the Food for Thought, One Everett, One Book initiative, there's going to be a keynote speaker and cooking demonstration by Kwame Amuwachi, the author of Notes from a Young Black Chef. And it'll be on, I believe it's Friday, February 24th at 7 p.m. at the Everett Performing Arts Center. And so he's a really amazing author that's just been, has an incredible personal story and accomplishments, and I think it's going to be a really great event, and it's free and open to the public, so I hope folks are able to attend. I also attended the Lowell Neighborhood Association on Monday, and it was a really great turnout. A representative from Sound Transit was there to talk about alignment, which is going to go near the Lowell neighborhood. And though the maps aren't established or public yet, he was able to answer questions and just help talk it through with the community. So I appreciate the time that Eric spent there. They did ask me to pass along 2 kudos, building on the work that Councilmember Vogely had done when she was the liaison for the community. There's a lot of concerns about speeding along 3rd, and so she was able to put in a sidewalk and whatnot, and then building off of that, or crosswalk,
put in the
crosswalk. And then I've been able to work with our traffic crew to put some speed trailers there, and they're just really grateful for the attention to their neighborhood to help slow folks down. And they also wanted me to pass along a public thanks to our Public Works Department for the amazing work that they did with the snow removal the last time around. So kudos to our Public Works team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just have one comment. I want to remind the public that our council's retreat will take place next Wednesday, January 25th, starting at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. That will be in lieu of our regular afternoon council meeting. The public is welcome to attend this meeting. However, we will not be taking any action, and we will not take any public comments at the retreat. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda, so we'll now move into our executive session. It's expected to last 5 minutes, and action is anticipated to follow here in the council chambers. Council is back from its executive session, and I'll call on City Attorney Hall. Will you please help us with the action that we need to take?
Sure. We're seeking authorization to settle claims by Ryan Reed resulting from several sewer backups at his residence in the total amount of $30,000, and hoping that you'll ask for a motion to that effect.
Do I hear a motion?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the settlements.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tui seconds the motion.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
President Stone Cipher.
Yes. And with no further business, we are now adjourned.